How to stop the reincarnation cycle.
To answer this question, first we really have to talk about why are we in the physical? Why did we enter it to begin with? And what is it really here for? What is it here to teach us and to bring to us? What is the physical gifting to us in our awareness? What is it making us more aware of? We are our mind entering into our physical bodies, which we take on as projections of who we are. And so this physical body, it appears solid to us. It appears that way, and it appears as if it is making us. It appears as if it is making us do certain things. It's making us interact in certain ways and behave in certain ways. And that is the illusion of it. That's also the gift of it, because that's the challenge of it. But really what we are is we are a mind, we are a soul, we are a heart that is entering a physical experience. And so the first thing that you have to really get and start to realize is the fact that you are a soul and a mind and a heart entering this form which you are projecting. So you are creating it. It seems like it's the other way around. It seems like the physical is creating us. It seems like when we look around at everything around us, that is controlling us, and that is affecting us more than we are really affecting it. But it's all energy. It's all energy, and it's taking on these forms. But this is what we are choosing. Everything around you is something that you have chosen to put there in your experience. It seems like it's coming to you, but really you have placed it there in your experience. You chose for that to manifest in that certain way on a deep level of yourself. You chose for it to be there in this certain way so that you can grow and you can have understanding. So everything around us, including our physical forms, appears solid to us. Our skin appears solid to us. When you touch it, it feels solid. It doesn't feel like energy. We perceive it as a solid substance, a solid form. And so we forget, we don't realize that our mind is actually controlling this whole thing. This whole operating vehicle, which seems solid, is really energy which is being controlled by my output. It's being controlled by my mind. And this isn't only on a conscious level. This is on a very, very deep subconscious level. So it is not only our conscious beliefs, but especially our underlying subconscious beliefs that create and manipulate everything around us, and they show us what we believe in. So what are you believing right now on a deep level? All you have to do is look around you and you will see all of the signs of exactly what you believe in on a deep level of yourself. What are you learning? What are you learning to remove? Now, when we first come into a physical experience, we are operating in very limited bodies, like a cell or a bacteria or an algae form, something that has a simpler mind, it has a simpler operation, and then we expand, we move on, we grow mentally, we grow emotionally, we grow spiritually, we advance and evolve, and we move on to the next stage of our incarnation, where we are a plant form, or we are an insect form, and then an animal, and then a human, and so on and so on. And so we are just at first learning what this place is like and how to survive and operate fully in this world around us, how to include it in our spectrum of consciousness. When we are having our first incarnations as a human being, that is still what we are learning to do in this new human experience, this new human form. We are learning how to incorporate that form into our consciousness, how to operate in it, how to maneuver it, and how to survive in it, and also emotionally and mentally how to survive in the current system that we enter into. So the environment around us, and we are learning how to deal with and how to handle these simpler things and these simpler tasks. But this is early on, and what we're going to be talking to you about now, what we're going to be talking to you about understanding and realizing, is what we are here as souls in this physical experience to learn ultimately through all of these lifetimes that we are having here. What is it ultimately that we are trying to achieve and overcome?
What we're ultimately learning to master and overcome is negativity, and it's not just simple negativity like learning to transform your anxiety into calmness. It's also physical negativity, and it's to very high degrees, which means even sickness or aging or death, things like that. So just in general, it's about mastering negativity, but the more you become a master, in a sense, the more negativity you can master. So ultimately, it's about mastering negativity, and like I said, the more of a master you become within this game that we're experiencing, you don't have to come back and do it over and over again. You have to learn to master it in a physical way. That's why we're coming here physically. And that's the hardest challenge, is to do it physically. And so that means all the negativity we especially experience physically would be truly beating this game and mastering that negativity. And like I said, that is aging, that is, death, that is having to eat, having to sleep. All these things are physical negativity that we experience. There's emotional negativity, but there's also physical. And the less advanced will focus mainly on, emotional and mental, but if you really are advanced, you're really gonna master the physical, and that is extremely hard to do compared to the mental and emotional. It's not even looked at many times on earth. Most people don't think, they don't even let themselves think about physical negativity. They just stop at mental and emotional, and they think that they can't transform with their mind the physical negativity that they experience. If you can transform mental and emotional negativity, then you can definitely transform physical. And it doesn't matter what kind of physical negativity it is. It doesn't matter if it's being sick. It doesn't matter if it's having pains. If it's any form of negativity, if it's dying, any form of negativity, you can transform it to positivity. You can remain youthful for as long as you want. That's positivity. And so that's really the whole point of being here, is everybody knows that it's about becoming more positive in a general sense on Earth. We're all striving to be more positive. But ultimately, it's also about reaching that to the point where you manifest that physically. And when you manifest that physically, then you really hit it. Then you really hit home. Then the game, in a sense, is mastered by you. Then you win the game. You don't have to, it's not a game over and you have to come in and do it again. And you forget everything and you have to try and remember, how things work and what is real and what isn't, and master it again. So simply, the best way to stop the reincarnation cycle is to not die, is to master this life you came into and to end up doing whatever you want with it, whether that means go to another dimension or stay here or whatever you want to do, but master it. Don't leave on this negative term. Leave on your own terms, don't leave by aging and then having to die in the normal process that humans have given into. Leave on your own terms and leave it in an obvious way that you're creating for yourself. So ultimately, it's all about being who we really are. And we're realizing that, like I said, mentally and emotionally, we're realizing who we are is positivity, mentally and emotionally. But like I said, it goes as far as physically as well. So we're going to have to learn to be who we are physically, and that means we're going to have to be positive in all states physically as well. We're not going to, experience all these forms of negativity that we experience now on Earth when we truly know who we are and we manifest that physically. And some people might not like hearing the fact that, they could stay here forever, and so they don't even want to explore these things because they don't want to feel like they're trapped in a physical experience. But that's the thing, is that when you master, this life, when you master this negativity, you're not trapped. It's the opposite. That's the whole point of this, is that you become unlimited physically, which means you can end up doing whatever you want. If you want to become unphysical in a sense again, you can do whatever you want. You can go to any dimension you want. You can see anyone you want. You're not trapped in the physical. You just mastered the physical, and then, whatever you want to do, you can do it. So some people actually think that, if you were to be here and you were to be immortal, that's actually almost like a limiting thing. You would be stuck in the physical. But that is not the case, because in order to be an immortal here, you would have to master limitations. So as an immortal, you would be unlimited. And that means, like I said, there's no trapping there. It's pure freedom. It's pure unlimitation. So you're actually doing what you ultimately intended to do by coming here, is to just fully be who you are, and who you are is unlimited power. And with that unlimited power, you can have any experience you want. So winning the game is not just being who you are mentally, emotionally, but also physically. Being unlimited in all levels, and being positive on all levels of your being.
So, ending the reincarnation cycle of having to have a physical experience means that you have full self-realization in the midst of the physical experience. And it means that you know that you are not this experience, that you are not this body, to the point where who you are overwhelms that experience, and you can choose what your body will operate as. You can choose what your experience will be, and that is mastering the physical.
She sat there on a full moon day evening with everybody. There were people around, and after 5 minutes, it is in the shrine, she got up and went. My eyes are closed, I knew she got up. I got little irritated, because nobody ever gets up once they sit down. Till we say it is time, nobody ever gets up. And of all the people, my wife getting up and going, little irritation in me. Why is she getting up of all the people? Then I ignored it and I sat down. After 5 minutes, she came and sat down. In another 7-8 minutes, she just went like that. When I looked, she was gone, with a big smile on her face. Then I looked, she has removed her nose ring, she's removed her bangles, she removed her toe rings. See, she did not know intellectually, but at that moment she felt this is what is stopping her. And she pulled out all those things, kept next to the wash basin and came back. And she sat down within 7-8 minutes. But this is not something that happened accidentally. She announced this almost 9 months ahead of time. She had prepared, my girl who was only 7 years at that time, that she's going to leave in this month, but it happened 1 month early for various reasons, so that's a different aspect. But this is not new in this country. Any number of yogis just sit down announce to everybody and leave their body. This whole process started 1 year before that. 1 year before that, there was a yogi called Nirmalananda in the Biligiri Rangana Betta in Karnataka. Anybody been there? BR Hills, you been there? Oh, it's a fabulous place. So, he lived there. For 14 years he lived in silence, just in the 4-acre ashram, he never stepped out of it. I met him in a strange way. I used to trek in those mountains. So, I go alone and trek for a week, 10 days when I run out of food and there's no way I can procure anything. I live out of the forest, but when I'm done, I come out and ride off. I park my motorcycle somewhere, I trekked for almost 5-6 days. From… it is rainy season, head to toe I'm in slush, okay? I'm really drenched with mud and everything. Then I came out and I was extremely hungry, I had not eaten for 2 days. I was very, very hungry. So there's no hotels, nothing there. So I had heard about this ashram. Me and spirituality were impossible at those times, that never occurred to me, I was just, in a different mode altogether. So I went to this ashram, there were about 15 steps to climb. I wouldn't get off my motorcycle at all those days, I just rode up the steps and went and parked my motorcycle leaning it onto the wall next to his door. And he came and he looked at me and he grinned. Then I said, I'm hungry. But he was not talking, so he said, come inside. And he made me sit down. He had a little, baking thing, he baked some bread for me. All he had was this bread and honey. So he gave me bread and honey, I ate up 2 loaves of bread for making up for 2 days. Then after that, we developed a silent relationship. Whenever I went there, I would take a bunch of bananas or something and he would give me a can of honey. This transaction went on. Many years later, after things happened to me in a big way, everything about my life changed. After about 10 years, I went to see him. He didn't recognize me because, And I asked, don't you recognize me? And I smiled. He said, He said, oh, you are the guy on the motorcycle. So at the age of 73, he decided when Uttarayana comes, you know what's Uttarayana? The sun's relationship with the earth, when it moves from southern hemisphere to north, you heard of Bhishma waiting to die at that time. So he said, when Uttarayana comes, I want to leave my body. I went there with my wife and daughter, and then he cried and he said, I have built a samadhi, I'm doing all this, but I'm afraid that I may not be able to do it. Then I started discussing the technicalities of what it is, what makes it happen, what stops it, what is it that you need to do and these kind of things. So, my wife Vijay was also there, she was listening to all this. Then we were driving back. By then I had graduated to 4 wheels and we were driving back. Then she was silently crying. I said, what happened? She said, I also want to live like him. I said, when are you going to go? I was trying to make a joke out of it. She said, no, this is what I want to do. I said, why? What's wrong with your life? She said, no, everything is right with my life. My outside is good, my inside is feeling wonderful. I want to live when I'm like this, not when something is wrong with me. Then, as a husband, as a father of the girl, I'm trying to discourage her. But as a guru, definitely I want somebody to go as far as they can go. So from that day she asked for what to do. I gave her some simple sadhana, never believing that she will go to that pitch and intensity. Because she was not somebody who was steeped in spiritual sadhana. She's just a very alive, she's either up or down, She's either absolutely exuberant or down. She doesn't know the in-between. She's not somebody whom you would consider a yogi or established in sadhana, nothing like that. She's a very exuberant person and that's all it takes. That you're alive, that's all it takes. It's not that you know this or that, you're just 100% alive. That's the only qualification you need. And she started working towards it, she announced it 9 months ahead, we tried to sabotage it in so many ways to slow it down, but it went the way it went.
நான் உணர்றது எல்லாருக்கும் கிடைக்கணும்ன்ற ஒரே நோக்கத்துல நம்ம வாலண்டியர்ஸ்
ரொம்ப சந்தோஷமா இருக்கு, மனசு ரொம்ப சந்தோஷம் இருக்கு, அமைதி ஆனந்தம் சந்தோஷம் தான் இப்பதான் நிறைஞ்சிருக்கு.
Can I tell you a bad joke?
Please. Yes.
Honest.
Can we have the last question now? Okay. A joke. Okay. I'm so sorry. हो सके तो मुझे माफ कर देना.
A lady went to sleep.
A lady?
A lady went to sleep. In her sleep, she had a dream. In her dream, she saw a hunk of a man standing there, staring at her. He started coming closer and closer and closer and closer. He came so close, she could even feel his breath, and she trembled, not in fear. And then she asked, "What will you do to me?" The man said, "Well, lady, it's your dream." So, what is happening in your head is your bloody dream, isn't it? Now your problem is not that life is not happening the way you want it, even your bloody dream is not happening the way you want it. This is your problem. At least let the dreams happen the way you want it. The world doesn't happen the way you want it, that's different. If your dream happened the way you want it, you would be still joyful, isn't it?
is a surfing legend who has ridden waves over 100 feet tall. To put that in perspective, that's high enough for this guy to be insane. Please welcome Laird Hamilton.
I was born with that missing gene that tells you you're supposed to be scared and or that's dangerous, and I just have I like the thrill. Waimea Falls is a big waterfall, and so there's places on the side of the waterfall that you can jump into a big hole down below. I wanted to go to the top, and guys were diving off the top of the falls. I'm 6 or 7 or whatever I was, maybe 8. Probably much too young to be jumping from that high, let's just put it that way. To me, men or no men, it didn't matter. They could do it, I could do it. So I just jumped. I think in that situation, that's where I could find, kind of a measurement of my strength was like, hey, I can jump higher than you. That's where the foundation of that kind of ability was, to be able to assess and then make the leap of faith, because you have to have a certain amount of faith to believe that, first of all, you can make it, second of all, that it's makeable, but there's an assessment always that happens first. I always say there's a difference between crazy and then risk takers. A crazy guy stands in front of a bus and he doesn't move and he gets run over. A risk taker might stand there and at the last second he'll jump out of the way. So you see the bus, you're like, okay, I'll get out of the way, but you're not going to just stand there and go, well, the bus isn't going to hit me. So in a way, that there's a certain kind of being realistic about it. You're not just hiking up and just jumping off. You know how deep it is. You know where the rocks are. You've seen other people do it. Maybe you haven't seen other people do it, but you just know what you've done before, and then you assess it, and then you once you made the decision, then you jump, and you jump with faith. You just jump with the belief that you can, that you've done everything you know to be successful, and that's really is almost formulaic. It's like a philosophy. And so our relationship really was founded in the ocean, on waves, riding waves. And my first sensation of going inside of a wave and being in what we call a tube was on his back. I rode him into a wave and would beg him to take me out and to do that.
French Spider-Man scales Dubai skyscraper with just chalk tape. A French free climber has completed his latest daredevil stunt by scaling one of Dubai's tallest skyscrapers, the Emirates Canyon Tower, in the heart of the city-state's luxurious marina district. Aline Robert, dubbed the real-life Spider-Man, has made a career for himself, setting astonishing world records. What you're seeing here is the 85th building this Frenchie's scaled in 14 years. Undaunted by the skyscraper's DNA double helix-like twisting shape, the 52-year-old was determined to climb the roughly 1,007-foot-tall building. Spider-Man, eat your heart out. It only took Robert 70 minutes to make it to the top of the 80-story structure. And he's likely not done yet. Unimpeded in the past by several falls which have left him with some serious fractures, or even fines and arrests, Robert will probably just keep on climbing. In 2011, he conquered the nearby Burj Khalifa, the world's tallest building, using only a rope and harness. It took Robert just over 6 hours to scale the 2,717-foot-tall Emirati structure. Despite claiming to suffer from vertigo, Robert says his obsession with climbing has left him partially disabled. Robert says he believes that by pushing limits and constantly aiming higher is how we can all develop stronger mindsets. Some of the most noteworthy buildings he's also climbed include Taipei 101, the Eiffel Tower, and the Empire State Building.
Woman? Dude, she's got problems, man. Dude, she's got big chewing in. Oh my God. Идеально.
To the rear. There it is. There's the world out there.
The door has opened.
Roll the door open.
The door has opened.
The door stop, Felix.
Door is open. Door stop is engaged.
Okay, item 26. Move seat to the rear of capsule. Item 27, lift legs into the door threshold.
Legs are at the threshold.
Item 28, slide the seat forward. Okay, item 29, release seat belt. Item 29, Felix, release the seat belt. Attaboy, that's good. Okay, slide forward into the rest position. Go a little bit further forward so we can check your chute. Your chute's okay, Felix. I say it again. Item 31, your chute integrity is checked. Your parachutes are not deployed. Item 32, verify cutaway knife handle strap is attached and knife in proper position. Say roger if it's so.
Roger.
Okay, chest pack faceplate heat is on. Make certain that's is on and you got a red light.
Piston light is on.
Okay, here we go. Item 34, disconnect chest pack umbilical. Okay, do you read me, Felix, on the communications? Felix, give me a short count. Okay. Stow umbilical. Disconnect both oxygen supply hoses. Okay, are they disconnected? Give me a thumbs up if they're disconnected. They're still connected. Felix, disconnect the oxygen hose. Attaboy. All right, stand up on the exterior step. Keep your head down. Release the helmet tie-down strap. Start the cameras. And our guardian angel will take care of you.
Alright, now the whole road is working out. And at least you can see what I can see. Sometimes you have to get up really high. The smaller you are. I'm going home now.
Jump her away. Speed 546. Speed 600 miles per hour. Speed 650 miles per hour. Speed 700. Speed 725. Speed 729.
Και συνέχισα να διατρέχω έτσι το σύμπαν και καθώς το διέτρεχα ήμουν το σύμπαν. Ήμουν ένα με το σύμπαν. Ήμουν η ενέργεια του σύμπαντος, η οποία εξεράγει. Και συνέχισα να διατρέχω έτσι το σύμπαν και καθώς το διέτρεχα ήμουν το σύμπαν. Ήμουν ένα με το σύμπαν. Ήμουν η ενέργεια του σύμπαντος, η οποία εξεράγει. Και καθώς διέτρεχα το σύμπαν για ένα γήινο χρόνο, ας πούμε, πες μερικά δευτερόλεπτα, 7-10 δευτερόλεπτα πες. Δεν έχεις εκείνη τη στιγμή αίσθηση του γήινου χρόνου για να το μετρήσεις. Γιατί εκείνη τη στιγμή ο νους σου μετράει αιώνες. Δηλαδή καθώς τρέχεις μες στο σύμπαν, κινείσαι συγχρόνως και στον χρόνο. Και ο χρόνος αυτός είναι ο συμπαντικός χρόνος. Και αυτό που γίνεται είναι ότι γυρίζεις προς την αρχή της ύπαρξης, της δημιουργίας του σύμπαντος. Δηλαδή φεύγεις προς την αρχή του χρόνου.
As to lose contact with time, place and object and environment.
I'm just bursting. In 6 weeks' time, everything about me changed so dramatically. And I just lost the sense of time. I actually thought it's 2 minutes, but 7 hours had gone by. I'm sitting right there, fully alert, but I have no sense of time.
I was looking at my hand like this, but it was seen that there's nobody in them. I don't know if you understand what that means. You see, there was no feeling of who it is. So this one who is talking and suffering, and I don't know how much longer I can go, does not exist. It never existed. It's only apparent, a dream.
I had been identified throughout my life with an unhappy mind-made entity consisting of self-images and ideas and self-talk in the mind. Self kind of dissolved that because I must have withdrawn completely my identification with it. So I stepped out of the mind-created self, and what remained was myself as consciousness, but not as the unhappy me. And so the unhappy me began to get shaky, and then something happened to it. It must have, in its final stages, I think there was I felt almost disappearing into some black hole, because it was a kind of death experience. It was the death of the unhappy me. And so the perception of that, it wasn't so much visual as more like a feeling that I was disappearing into some hole. And there was still some fear left there, anxiety of what's happening to me. And then, but I heard a voice, again, not as an audible voice, but more as a realization, don't resist, or resist nothing, I think it said. And so I just let go, and then a kind of void opened.
100 feet fall, speed 729 and decelerating. Showing Felix in a stable descent.
Well, that's very, very reassuring what we've seen there. That high speed drop, and now you can see from the little dot, there's the applause.
Felix, you calling me?
He said something. Can't. Family applauding, but you can see by
Felix, can you hear me?
the little dot that he's in controlled descent.
Minute into free fall.
So 2 minutes.
Keep talking, Felix. Keep talking.
Still can't quite make that out, but reassuring to hear his voice. And you can see how he's in control there. That's showing you the supply of oxygen in his oxygen bottles.
Yes, Felix, I hear you. Go ahead. Roger, go ahead. Go ahead, Felix, I hear you. Go ahead.
I have been following Steve for a long time. Sounds like I had to pass out. For some reason. I can stop Steve now. Otherwise,
Still free
Felix, you're
falling.
really stable. You've fallen 3.5 minutes.
Record
I
is
have been told before because my riser is fogging up. I'll repeat, my riser is fogging up. Right now.
so you can understand that. He said his visor was fogging up, but he's getting to warmer altitudes. There's the chute. There's the chute. So under parachute now.
Could have done any better myself.
There's from the helicopter now.
At 5 to 10. Out of the north
Under
at 5
canopy,
to 10, and you can contact
floating
Mike Todd
safely,
on this frequency. Give Mike
floating
Todd
safely
a call.
down to Earth. There's Ava Baumgartner.
Felix, the wind's out of the north, 5 to 10.
elated,
Todd a call on
tears
this
of joy
frequency, over.
from Mission Control as Felix now
Felix,
approaches the
I
ground.
hear you. The winds here are out of the east at about 10 to 15.
So we're now at 6,000 feet.
You ready, Felix?
This is Mission Control. Felix's current altitude under the chute is 6,600 feet.
Hey, I need direction.
So he has the highest
We're looking
jump.
for you, bud. We can't find you. The telemetry didn't work.
There he is. There's a closer shot from the helicopter.
Felix, the wind is out of the north, 5 to 10.
Beautiful shot.
Facing that big tower. Anybody can hear? I'm facing that big tower.
Okay, and the wind's out of the east. I'm sorry, I gave you the wrong information. Out of the east.
On your Felix, we're coming your way, bud. Hurry up, I need clearance. Hurry up.
Approaching Earth.
Felix, wind is out of the east. The wind is out of the east.
Under parachute, you have
We see it. We're coming your way right now.
quite a bit of control by pulling
Roger
those.
that, Mike. Hurry up. Land down and show me the direction.
Wind's out of the east, Felix. Wind's out of the
By
east.
pulling the cords, he can control a fair amount of control on his path into this landing. Now we see that scrub earth below.
Felix's altitude is 5,800 feet.
Just 5,000 feet now, so really nearing, and the altitude out there, I'm not sure of the altitude of the ground.
Hey, drop from clear, guys. Drop from target clear.
Luke's making the call to drop smoke, Felix.
That means to
Wind's
drop
out of the
a
east, Felix.
smoke marker from one of the helicopters. Oh, he wanted to see, I see. He wanted the smoke so he could see the wind direction.
Hey, Felix, the wind is coming from the ridge. The wind is coming from the ridge. No, towards the ridge.
Art
Sorry.
Thompson,
the wind
the
is coming
technical
towards
director
the ridge.
of the Red Bull status program, telling him that the wind is coming from the direction of that ridge I was talking about. So he certainly coming, and there you can see by the approaching shadow, he's just about there, and he's down on the earth safely back.